Okay. Okay, here we are. Welcome to Knitting Around LA. I'm Julie.
And I'm Judy. And today we have a wonderful guest, Rachel Decker, who some of you may have seen on social media as HyperZenCreations. Welcome to the show, Rachel.
Hello, Julie and Judy. It's so good to be here. I'm so glad that you asked me to be on.
And we're glad you agreed.
It's our pleasure, seriously.
We haven't seen you very much since you moved to Irvine and the whole pandemic and everything.
Yeah, it's been great in a sense to work from home. It's amazing how much gas you save when you don't commute in LA area. But it's been a lot of and I was mentioning this earlier, how you just don't see people. You don't realize how much, even though I feel like I'm an introvert sometimes, it's weird when you can't do anything at all. I'm like, well, I did like going to a coffee shop occasionally.
Yeah.
And I don't even do that. And, exploring the new area I moved to, it's just kind of like, well, I can't even do that.
Yeah, because you moved, how far before the pandemic did you move? It doesn't seem like it was that long.
Let's see. It was about a year before the pandemic started. So February 2019, I started the new job. March of that year, we moved about 60 miles south of where we were previously. And then a year later, pandemic started. And then we recently moved again. So I'm still in Orange County, actually slightly closer to the LA area. So,
yeah. Well, and we should mention that we know Rachel from our knitting guild that we've talked about quite a few times here on our channel, and that's the Nerdy Knitters of the San Fernando Valley. And that's why we haven't seen Rachel, because she moved to Irvine, because it's a long way.
And yeah, that's a hell of a commute for a guild meeting.
50 miles through LA traffic. So
I did the commute for 6 weeks, and I felt like a zombie. Yeah, it was work, drive, sleep, drive, work. That was life, and I'm like, we gotta move. Like, I gotta get down there. It's So we made that decision. 6 weeks, boom, and moved. So, but yeah, it was something like I spent like 5 hours in the car a day.
Yeah.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's bad.
Yeah.
Well, now that you've had some more time, have you been creative?
I've started so many projects, and I'm not quite sure I've finished a lot.
Although
sure.
Not unheard of.
So probably at the end of 2020, I finally went back and filled out my Ravelry stuff, and I'm like, actually, I did do some things, because I was like, I felt like I hadn't been doing any crocheting. But I had actually finished a lot of whips, which was really nice.
Good.
So.
Yeah, you did a Made in 2020 post.
I did, yeah. I was like, well, I thought I was lazy, but look, apparently I did stuff.
Well, I think I was totally lazy. I'm only start getting getting my hands back onto my needles, because you're talking about getting together. Julie and I have. I've been fully vaccinated. Julie is just a scotch away from getting fully vaccinated, but she came over anyway because
she trusted me.
I trusted
not have
her.
The cuties. Yeah.
Yeah, and so she was helping me go through my stuff. I don't mean to take this away from you, but the idea was I haven't been working. Why haven't I been working? I didn't have any. I had zero projects started, so it was like, well, of course you're not working, dummy. You don't have anything to work on. So it's amazing what projects in whips can prompt you to do.
Yeah, I've had so many ideas in the past year. And a lot of them are what I've seen called being like selfish crafting, where it's stuff I want to make for me. because a lot of things I make are either gifts or for giveaways. So I do fundraising on my Twitch channel. And so one of the things I offer are crocheted items. So, I'll make a thing and I'll give away. I'll make a thing and I'll give it away. And nothing really stays with me.
Let's put Rachel's links on here. Do you want to, let's hear about your Twitch channel, because we knew about that in the past. I have to admit, I only tuned in once. I don't remember why I haven't, but talk to us about your Twitch channel.
Let's see. So I started Twitch, like I've had an account since 2015. I didn't do or 2014 or 2015. I didn't start my first stream until probably 2016. I had been laid off. I was bored. I was starting to get back into crochet. And it must have been something I Googled that brought me back to Twitch. And there was a gal crocheting. And so I sat in her channel for a while, and you can chat live, similar to YouTube Live. You can chat in Twitch. But Twitch originally started off as a video game platform where you could watch people. So they have a camera like this. You could see their face. And you could also see their screen and watch them play video games. So it was a way for people to learn about new games that were coming out, learn how to play, if there was like a difficult level, and just general tips and tricks, as well as hanging out with someone digitally. So I've been doing that for about 5 or 6 years now, and I do a mixture of crochet and video games.
That's an unusual combo.
So a couple of my projects have actually been sort of crossovers. So 8-bit art lends itself very, very well to crochet, especially the Grafgan type stuff. So I have probably 2 projects that I'd say specifically came from video games, as well as I have a bunch of other ideas of what I want to do. There's a lot of little amigurumis that come from video games that just explode in popularity when a new game comes out. So it does seem like an unusual combination. It goes together very well.
You see them on social media, on Instagram and Ravelry and all of the platforms all the time. The little amigurumi that come out of, it's like people are amazing. People like Rachel, something new comes out, and the next day there's like this wonderful amigurumi finished of it on Instagram. So, but you're one of the nerds of the nerdy knitters. Gaming and being inspired by games and anything of that kind of genre is kind of a through line in our knitting guild. Not for Judy and me very much, but we're lucky that we join in.
We appreciate it, though. I mean, it's not something.
We're all yarn nerds for that. Yeah, I mean, and that's if anything else, like if you have none other of what you would consider, nerdy habits or pastimes, you're very huge proponent of yarn and yarn crafts. So it's fitting on multiple levels.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What? No,
I was going to ask, what, we're talking about yarn and crafting. What's your fiber story or craft story? Where did that all come from, Rachel?
So I was first introduced to crochet in 2002, and it happened to be my boyfriend at the time who introduced me to it. He was wearing a scarf that he had apparently made, and I was like, where'd you get that? Oh. I hadn't seen it before, or at least I hadn't seen anyone with one like that. It was just very simple, single crochet scarf. And he said he made it. And I was like, wait, what? How? Yeah. I think that's probably the first time I had heard of crochet. And I was I think I was 19 or 20 at the time. It was the first time I heard of it. Now, I did have crocheted items at home. But we never talked about how they were made or who made them. We had 2 blankets that my great-grandmother had made for my dad, and all of his brothers and sisters each had a crocheted blanket that my great-grandmother had made. I didn't know about it. I knew my grandma knit. I had no idea what crochet was, or that anybody in my family had done it.
One of the reasons that we are here to talk to you today is because of the series of articles you've written about crochet and yarn arts and fiber arts. And I was, I don't know if I want to say surprised, but it's always kind of a surprise and a delight to hear somebody's fiber origin story. And you wrote about that in your first article. And I mean, I think that was great that, you learned it from your boyfriend. I love the part about how after you learned the second stitch, he's like, you've already surpassed me.
Yeah. That particular day, and I didn't include this in the article, I was asking a different friend who, it was a group of college friends that they were doing a project. And I never got to talk to the original people who were doing the project, but they were making a blanket and having all of their friends help them. I wasn't there. This was a year before I had started school. And so they wanted each of their friends to crochet a row. So they taught them how to crochet, and they each crocheted a row. And so they had this blanket in the end that was made by all of their friends.
How lovely.
So everybody in that friend group, slightly older than me, whatever, had participated in this project. And so they taught me after the fact. And so one day I was like, we could make hats, right? You can make a hat. How do you do that? And someone verbally explained to me how to do it. And I didn't end up with a hat. I ended up with like a flat doily, the way they described how to make it. And I'm like, so I got to a certain spot in it, and I'm like, well, this is not what, but it's sort of there.
They didn't tell you how to stop increasing.
They said you put an extra stitch in every stitch around. And I was like, okay. And I did that, and that makes a flat piece. It does not make a nice curved piece that goes over your head.
Well, if you keep doing it, it's going to make a hyperbolic crochet.
So, and at that point, he's like, yeah, you've already made things that I haven't made, I couldn't make. Like, I don't know how you just did that, even though we listened to the same person explain it. So that's how that went.
Yeah.
Yeah, just learning more. But yeah, his mother was actually the biggest proponent of me continuing to crochet. She sent me this giant package of Red Heart Super Saver, a lot of like rainbow colors essentially, and a book that I haven't actually been able to use because it uses a specific hook with like hooks on both ends that I don't have yet.
Really?
Yeah,
oh, that's so funny.
So it was a very specific crochet book, and I still don't have the tools for it. Some point, sometime, I'll try to get one or get one made or something. But yeah, it's called Crocheting on the Double. So there's hooks on both sides.
Well, did you? Oh, wait a minute. Are you the one? Now, I've been reading Facebook and Instagram. So since I read your articles, which was only last night, so now I don't know where I read what. Are you the one who had the book that's Crochet in Plain Language or something like that?
Yes, actually, I do have that one right here. Crocheting in Plain English. Yeah.
Love it. I love it.
It is. I think it's the second crochet book I got. Or no, actually, I think she sent this to me with the Crochet on the Double book. So she sent me 2 books and all the yarn, and this was one of the ones, and it's amazing.
Oh, okay.
So it really does break things down in a way that makes it understandable if you are not used to reading patterns. If you don't know what some of the stitches mean, it's very helpful, especially in the very beginning of crocheting.
Yeah.
Because I think,
that's really my problem is that, I can do a chain stitch and, and I'm not much progressed past that. I probably could do a single crochet and then I get confused. And do you think a book like that is helpful for someone like of my, caliber, lack of caliber crochet, which is, because I've stuck with knitting.
It got easier the more resources I looked at. So some diagrams make sense to me and some of them don't. I'll try to follow along and it's just like, I don't know how you got it to do that. Like, this doesn't look like it'll work. or I can read it in words. Like this book is mostly words. Like there's very few pictures. But then also, we have this resource of YouTube, which is fantastic for learning. And the funny thing is, when I started, YouTube was not, it existed, but it did not have the just wide range of types of videos, so that it wasn't a viable resource for me at the time. And I didn't have anyone around me who also crocheted or anything. And again, I didn't really learn my grandma knit until I started talking about yarn and crochet, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I can do this here." Oh, so we actually have to go yarn shopping together, which is very nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and what Judy says, and I hear this all the time because I do teach knitting. I've taught crochet. I could teach both. And a lot of times people have been shown how to do things, and they can do the stitches and make a piece of fabric or make an object. And there are a lot of people who, since YouTube became the how-to resource of the universe, there are people who actually have completely learned how to knit and or crochet from YouTube videos. But the thing that's difficult is reading patterns. Because and there's probably YouTube videos now about how to read patterns. But what Judy mentioned, that catches a lot of people because it's a code. It's all letters and commas.
I feel like I kind of since 2015, when I jumped into this, because I jumped into crochet and Twitch kind of all at the same time. I did a bunch of different types of research, and one of the other things I looked into was historical patterns, like where was crochet first recorded? Where is it first recorded? And it's I can't even remember the specific country, but it was a convent. The very first book of crochet, like how to crochet, is actually at a convent. And they didn't have language to describe how the stitches worked. They just had swatches inside the book.
Oh.
And you had to look at the swatch and figure out how it happened. They're like, this is what it is. This is the stitch that we use for whatever. But they didn't quite have the words. They haven't created that code yet to describe it. So some of the other stuff, I go back. It's like, well, 1800s crochet or whatever. And I do have a book called Historical Handmade, and it includes crochet and embroidery and stuff like that. But you try to read it, and it's such different ways of explaining stuff that just trying to figure out what you're supposed to do next is a bit of a puzzle. But it's really fascinating.
Interesting. Well, and sometimes people get their hands on older patterns that they assume a certain base of knowledge. So they'll leave things out that we might write into our patterns today, because we have a much broader. It's not like today, people who write knitting and crochet patterns have an awareness, or they have made a decision where they're either writing only for, let's say, a U.S. audience, or they're trying to write for a global audience, and their pattern is going to get translated into different languages, and then especially with crochet, modern patterns, they'll say this is U.S. terms or this is British terms. It's the awareness that the audience is huge. I ran into that issue. I was trying to do a pattern for mittens, and it was translated from Finnish to Finnish to English. And I started working on it. I'm like, man, this is all single or slip stitch. I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, slip stitch is like our single crochet. And I was like, man, this is going to take so long. I'm like, part of me was like, I might as well be knitting this with how long it's taking. Crochet just works up a lot faster. But then I got partway through and I was like, wait, this is UK terms that I'm reading. I need to do like a second level of translation here in order to make it actually turn out the way it's supposed to. Yeah.
I've definitely run into that terminology issue.
Yeah.
That's pretty fascinating. So you actually had to get the Finnish translate. It was written in Finnish first.
Mm-hmm.
So then the Finnish had to be translated to English, but then the English needed to be translated to US in terms of its directions, or right?
Yeah. The pattern came to me already translated in English. It was available in both languages, but yeah, when it was translated English, it was translated into UK terms, not US terms. Yeah, so. Wow. I didn't have to specifically go out and find a Finnish translator. That would have taken quite a while, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. You just have
not just a Finnish translator, one who was familiar with knitting or crochet to be able to actually figure out what was being said.
Oh my.
Right. Yeah, well, Arnie and Carlos are famous knitting podcasters, vloggers. And they are constantly kind of struggling with the difference between UK and US terms, because the better crocheter and knitter is Arne, but Carlos understands the translating the languages and the terms better. So they are constantly discussing. Now, if it's the US, it's a double crochet. If it's a single crochet, and it's just this constant thing. But there's way more awareness of it now than before, and there's a lot more discussion about it, like on Ravelry and in the pattern.
It's really nice when a pattern does start with, hey, this is written in UK terms, or hey, this is written in US terms. That way you know where to start.
Yeah. You know which stitch you actually need to do when it says double crochet. Yeah. So so now you're writing these articles. You're writing about a lot more than just crochet. So,
I do want to focus mostly on crochet. Just kind of have a theme to what I'm writing. But the particular website I'm writing on offers writing challenges, writing prompts. So I throw in some other random stuff in there too. Yeah.
And that's at medium.com, which is right down there.
So I write on both Medium and what's called Vocal Media. Vocal Media is the one that provides the challenges.
Oh, okay. So, what are the challenges?
One of the ones that I entered is called If This Then That. And what they're saying is, make a recommendation on a book or movie that you loved that to somebody else that they would like this other book or movie. So if you liked Lord of the Rings, you will like Game of Thrones, and here's why.
And have you done an article like that referring to crochet or fiber arts on Vocal? What are the challenges you've done on Vocal?
So I did the If This Then That, where it was if you thought Game of Thrones was a little too gruesome, why don't you try Outlander? That was my article that I wrote for that challenge. The other one I wrote recently was I did a thrift store one. It's like I think I titled it I found things at a thrift store and I want it all in black, because it turns out that a lot of the things I get from thrift stores are black clothing items. Just happens to be the way it is. And then I also discussed the store that I like to frequent in Burbank. It's a Wrap. Have you guys ever been there?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So I talked a little about It's a Wrap and how it's probably one of the best secondhand stores in the United States. Like
my daughter loves that store.
It's there's such nice stuff there, and it's really good prices. So,
all right, cool.
Yeah. So those are the challenges I've done on Vocal Media.
All right, and I'm also going to add more links below the video on YouTube. I'll go back in because you gave me quite a few links. There's only 2 of them here.
Yeah, those are probably the 2 that are most active. Vocal one is pretty active too, but that 3 links down there would be a little much.
One of your topics that was really interesting was the issue of people asking you to make things.
Oh, yes. That is actually so far my most popular, most often read article.
Well, it's one of those things that maybe as knitters and crocheters, I think you could be on opposite sides of the issue. And as a knitter and crocheter, we have varying degrees of people requesting things. Now, I have to call myself lucky that people have it's always been in the terms of being commissioned to do things. So I'm very lucky, rather than it's almost is this too harsh to say that it's almost being taken for granted when somebody says, hey, could you make me a floor mat that's the Texas state flag? But
yeah. And that's kind of where I start the article at. It's like, yes, I could, but it's like, are you serious, or are you just asking if I can? If you are seriously wanting this, let's talk price. And then if it's just like a casual conversation, like that can be really awkward if you just, they're just trying to be fun and start conversation, and you don't necessarily know if they're being serious or not. Or maybe they're honestly asking for a commission of a Texas state flag rug. And I know I've kind of had this discussion like with my sister. She turned around to me and she's like, oh, hey, so, niece really likes Baby Yoda. Do you think you could make her a Baby Yoda? And I'm like, it is 3 days before Christmas. When do you expect to have this?
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Yeah. I told her she'd probably have Christmas in March, and, well, it's April now.
Yeah.
Started
well, yeah, I mean, it's like, well, are you joking with me? And then let's define our terms. Well, and just tossing off a request like that 3 days before Christmas, it's kind of like, so many questions here.
Yes. It's just, and again, and I've mentioned it, like that just raises my anxiety level. If someone's just like, well, can you do this? Yes, but I also have a list of other things going on. But if you need it fast, there's a commission I'm currently working on. Someone asked me to make a character from a video game. It's a pattern. The pattern doesn't exist, so I'm making it up as I go, trying to make sure that it looks like this character. I'm very lucky that it's a common shape. It's basically a teddy bear, but it has some very specific features to it. So that's something I can find pieces for, and that's what I'm doing. Other amigurumis I've done, I'm going to have like, okay, well, I'll take your head and I'll take your body and let me take those arms and like putting it together to make it look like the thing that they want.
Yeah, but that's a lot of work. A lot of planning, a lot of forethought has to go into that, because once you're committed to doing the crochet, it's you don't want to have to keep ripping it out. I mean, you have to have a plan.
Yeah, and I actually had to start all over at one point, mostly because I misplaced the pieces in the move, and of course when I finished the last piece of where I had already caught up to it, I found the other one, so now I have like double the amount of pieces, and I'm like, of course. So that one's taking extra long.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, trying to make things happen. Can you do it? Yeah. Well, now let's talk like rate and time.
Yeah. Well, because with something like that, and with so many things, in this whole group of things that we do called the fiber arts, the design and planning, and with what we do, there's often a lot of math. There's things that you have to figure out mathematically. That is a major component of the design and the process. Just the physical doing of the stitches sometimes is actually less time.
Yeah, I'm making sure in this particular one I'm doing that I'm writing down exactly what I'm doing as I do it. I'm not like, okay, I'll finish this row and then write it down. No, because you can get distracted. So everything is being written down as I do it. If I have to turn around and find out, okay, well, that doesn't look right, then I can rip it back. And then I can also, in my pattern, kind of pull that section out and start all over again.
Yeah. Are you considering, or have you published patterns like on Ravelry or any other platform and offer patterns for sale of these things?
No, I think I'm only actually considered that I've written probably two patterns, and I never really polished them in a way. One of them's a drawstring bag, and the other is like a face scrubby thing. Neither of which I feel are extremely unique. So I wasn't exactly motivated to finish it up and polish it and put it into a sellable format.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you things don't have to be singularly unique to be published. and
that is true.
And sell, So do you want to look, shall we look at your images?
Sure.
Yes, let's see your work.
Okay. I'm going to, I need to click them in. And so here we are.
All right. So let me start with this one, because I know this is a pretty unique idea.
I'm going to take this away. Okay.
So as I mentioned earlier, I stream on Twitch, and Twitch has a subscription program where you can subscribe to a streamer for $5, $10, or $25 a month. Now, what this blanket here is going to be a blanket at the end of the year. So this is going to be a year-long project. What it's going to represent is everybody who subscribed to me. As a Twitch streamer, you are considered a tier 3, so the $25 level sub to your own channel. So these here represent like my January subscription, my February subscription. So the big ones are me, essentially. And that way, even if nobody subscribes to me, I'll still have a 12-panel blanket. That's decent. So down here, the gold ones, you can also gift subscriptions. So anyone who's gifted a subscription gets a gold one. The person who received the subscription gets one of the colored ones. And I'm kind of doing this as a stitch sampler. Every square here is slightly different in what stitch I'm using. So it's going to be a hodgepodge kind of thing. I'm guessing as I'm going how many stitches are going to need to make a 3-inch square. So the tier 1 is 3-inch, tier 2 is 6-inch, tier 3 is 12-inch. And that way, we're talking about the math there. No matter what combination I use, I can still make sure that all the squares will fit together.
Because it's a multiple of.
Yeah, because it's multi-sizes.
Yeah.
Multiple sizes.
Modular. All right. Now, you mentioned, it might have been before we went live, giveaways. You do giveaways? What are your giveaways like?
So when I do lots of fundraisers in addition to streaming on Twitch. I do have a one currently going now for St. Jude. I can give you that link later as well.
Okay.
And things I make for that are little items, little cutesy items. So for my last St. Jude fundraiser, I made these little octopi, and put them on keychains. They're actually very small, so like pictures can be kind of deceiving. These guys are only about this big, like the head part's that big, and then you got like the little dangly tentacles. So they're maybe 6 inches, maybe a little more.
They're very cute.
And they're so simple and they're so adorable. And the funny thing is, so this pattern is made with a 3-weight yarn. Like I think this is actually a sock weight yarn. And then there's this guy. Same pattern, different eyes, different yarn. And it turns out like almost not quite a football size, but pretty big. So that was my newest niece, who was a year old. And I figured, octopus things, especially in the big chunky yarn, is great for a kid. And that's why there's no safety eyes on it. I completely used felt for the face pieces.
Absolutely great.
So yeah, the giveaways are cute little items. This was also a giveaway item. I did pumpkins when I did about 2 years ago. I've tried 2 different pumpkin patterns. This is the second version. I prefer the first version. This version is really frustrating. So I've tried a couple different pumpkin patterns because they do a late October fundraiser, which is the creative season. So St. Jude and Twitch partner together in order to do these fundraisers. And they have specific types of fundraisers. So from the end of October to the end of December is their creative one, where they highlight people on Twitch who are creators. And you can be digital artist, you can be a painter, you can be a fiber artist, and then you can be a musician. So those all fall under the creative category in Twitch. And so then they promote those streamers who are streaming those kinds of activities. They have a January fundraiser, which is their analog one, where they promote people doing board games.
Oh, wow.
And then there's the current one, which is for all gamers. So specifically gaming. And this is the big one since Twitch is mostly gamers, video gamers. So that's the kind of stuff. When I'm fundraising, one of my goals is always, if I hit $91, and this is usually the first level, if I hit $91, I will make a Goku character. Are you guys familiar? Do you guys know who Goku is?
No, tell us.
Goku is a character in an anime called Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, I remember now. Yes, I know. I've heard the name Goku.
And there's a meme that goes on where he's one of the characters like looking through a monocle type thing that gauges people's power level, and they're like, it's over 9,000.
Oh.
So my $91 level, or 90 cents.
Yeah.
Actually, it should be 92 cents. Is really what it should be. Sometimes it doesn't let me put in a cents amount, so it has to be 91 because it's over 9,000 pennies.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I make a little crochet Goku for that level.
What's the white fuzzy thing that looks like a little shaggy dog face?
This guy?
Yeah.
This was also a commission request. There's, and I don't remember what the name of the game is called, but it's an anime-esque game that this person played. And he sent me some images, and he says this is called an FOE. It's a foe in the game. So apparently this particular game, there's lots of little guys that just kind of pop out of the rest of the play area, and they're just the little things that attack you. But they're really cute, and they're called foes. It stands for something enemy.
Oh, okay.
So it's an acronym. It was very cute when you told me. Unfortunately, I don't remember. But this is one of the things I completed at the beginning of 2019 is a foe.
It's cute.
Yeah.
It's adorable.
How'd you like working with that eyelash yarn?
So this particular one, this is the Lion Brand Fun Fur. I actually had to use the fur plus another white because it wasn't thick enough to hold everything in. So I was using a double-stranded technique there for making this particular amigurumi. And the guy was trying to. It was very if people make commission, they don't exactly know how crochet works.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be difficult to explain because one of the requests was, well, can you make all the furs go the same direction?
Oh, no.
And I was just kind of like, that's, and I didn't want to sound rude, but like any answer you get, first of all, the answer is no. And I was like, crochet doesn't work that way.
It's not like
doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he had been sewing before. He had used some like fur stuff, so he kind of had ideas like how fabric and stuff worked. But this is quite a bit different than sewing fabric.
Right, because in fabric that has fur, it has a nap that's put into it in the manufacturing.
Right. Yeah, and then so it all goes the same direction.
It goes one direction. Yeah. No,
and I was like, he's like, well, can you brush it? And I'm like, I could try, but I don't think that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
So that was just kind of one of those slightly awkward things to navigate, and having a commission being requested where you don't want to be rude to the person,
right.
But you also need to like absolutely say no.
Yeah.
And I actually had the same thing happen with this guy, this goose.
He's so cute.
So at the beginning of the pandemic, maybe a month or so in, a game came out called Untitled Goose Game.
Okay.
So this goose is actually also made for video game. Apparently I've done more than just one or two video game related things. So the request was they wanted in the game you're a goose and you're running around, you're picking up objects, and you're making life difficult for the humans in the game. It's very cute. It's hilarious. So one of the things they requested, they're like, well, since you pick up stuff in the game, can you make it have a magnetic beak?
Oh my God.
Can you make it so it can pick things up? So actually this does.
And embed magnets in it.
There are magnets embedded in this.
Oh, great.
There are magnets.
For real?
Yeah. Yep. I got magnets that are probably about half an inch.
Yeah. And so it will pick up things.
It will. It's very weak though because the yarn is so thick.
Okay. Yeah.
I still have to make an object for it to pick up. So he wanted like rupees from Zelda. He wanted the goose to be able to pick up rupees. So I finished this item. I had, and I didn't include it in this set of pictures, but there's another picture where the goose's beak is on a coffee mug. So it's just kind of, the beak is sitting on the mug. So you get an idea for the scale of the item.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy who commissioned it was like, well, I thought it would be bigger. And I was like, I sent you the pattern. I was like, I sent you the pattern we were going to use and we agreed on it. Like I physically sent him a link to Ravelry. Yeah. And I was like, hey, this is the one that I'm looking at. And it was actually in a blog, Ravelry, redirects you to a blog. So he didn't have to create an account or anything. I was like, but this is what we talked about. He's like, but the neck needs to be longer. Because goose's neck are kind of longer in the game, whatever. And I was like, if we made it longer, then what would happen is the magnets are too heavy and it would make it bend and fall over. And then the request was, well, you can put a rod in it or something. And I was like, maybe, but
yeah, all of this means you have to remake it.
Not only do I have to remake it, like that's a lot of extra engineering that I wasn't really up for.
Yeah.
There's some amazing dragon patterns out there that are actually made with crocheting over pipe cleaners. And that's a really cool idea. I would probably have to completely engineer a different way of crocheting in order to make the request that's being asked here.
Yeah.
So
pipe cleaners are strong enough to hold it up?
This I don't know. I haven't worked on this, but like if they had wanted the wings to be
flapping
or whatever, pipe cleaners would work for that.
Yeah.
And like I said, I was looking at dragon patterns. So the dragons had these scales and like the wings were kind of
animated,
articulated upwards. Yeah. So it looked like it was taking off, and it was gorgeous crochet work. But techniques that I hadn't used yet, and those are very advanced techniques, I would say.
Yeah.
And I have not, and I don't feel I have enough knowledge and experience in order to pull off what is being asked of me for the gooseneck thing. So a little disappointed. I still have to send this off to him. He did ask for 2. Like I don't know how to. It's been almost a year, and I'm not quite sure how to turn them down.
Oh yeah.
But again, people are like, oh, it's no hurry. I'm like,
oh no. We need a deadline.
Yeah, I was like, cool. But that's why it takes 2 years.
We need a deadline.
And especially if it's something like this or the other one where I'm making the pattern on my own, like that does take a lot of work. And it's like, I do need to start and stop. I can't necessarily sit down and do it in one sitting.
Well, right. Because you work full time too.
Yeah, there's that too. Yeah, I do have a full-time job.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's so taking commissions, and that's why I wrote that article about, can you make one for me? Yeah. It's just that some of these frustrations that come up, some of the assumptions, and because knitting and crochet can be kind of a niche hobby or craft or art, you don't know what the other person knows about it, and you don't know if they know it's a lot of work. There's just so much uncertainty when that's thrown out there, or if they're just joking.
Yeah, right. Well, and like with this goose, you direct the guy to the blog, and he's seeing the same picture that you're seeing, but he's not realizing that he's going to want the neck long,
Mm-hmm.
Until you show him the object, he's like, oh, I thought the neck would be long, and it's like, this is exactly like the picture I showed you, but it doesn't register to the.
Yeah, the slight difference about the picture is the one that the pattern I followed was a granny goose, so like a mother goose kind of goose. So it had a frilly bonnet, it had some wire glasses, it had a little picnic basket, and he's like, I don't want any of those things. Like, I just want the goose itself. I was like, oh, okay, we can do that. But again, the way the picture was taken, it did make it look a bit bigger because it was the only image on an 8x10 sheet. It took up the whole first page. I see how it could have been interpreted that it was bigger, but it also gives you the dimension on page 2.
Yeah. But I think too, people, when they do a commission and they say, well, all right, I'll pay you $20.
Yeah, that's probably, I think I asked for $20 for the little faux.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's only about like a softball size. He's baseball size type thing. So that's about where I start. And it needs to be simple and small.
So I say that because most people look at handwork and don't value the work that goes into it. They're like, oh, toys are, well, they don't have that anymore. But you know what I mean? It's like, oh, craft from China costs $3 and you want to charge me whatever. And they don't equate what the value that crafted items should command.
Yeah. Well,
and something like color changes takes a long time as well. Like this giraffe here, that's a lot of colors. That's a lot of color changes. That's a lot of time. This is probably my most favorite object I've made. It's one of the few that I feel looks exactly like the picture, exactly like the pattern picture. So it's one of the few. The goose is close, but it's still not quite, well, also because the beak is altered with the magnets. But this is one of the items I feel that has come the absolute closest to the pattern image.
Was this for a child or?
Yes, this is for my niece.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah, this was a Christmas gift.
Oh, she's a lucky girl.
Yeah.
I have a voicemail where she finally got it, and I need to somehow figure out how to save voicemails because she's like, I love it. I like the maroon and the purple and the burgundy. Like, she was just using like her big color names, and it was amazing. She's like 6 or 7 at the time.
I actually have a amigurumi fail. Now, actually, when I think about it, I have never completed an amigurumi animal object. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, and that's why I'm so slow with them. Not only is there the shaping, there's the sewing and the stuffing. And if you don't get your tension right, like even here, you can still kind of see between some of the stitches, the stuffing inside. And that's frustrating to me. Yeah. But it wasn't enough for me to go back and like redo it.
Oh, yeah. Well, but I mean, you got it done. I have a niece who asked me to do a crocheted monkey for her child. Now, it was a little boy, and he was like 18 months to 2 years at the time. I think he's 6 now. Oops. And I never got it done. I just have had this complete inability to finish one of those things. And I have started many of them, and I get going and I don't know what it is. I just have a amigurumi inability. But what is this? It's brown or black and orange little creature.
This guy here?
Yes. What is that?
This is a fox.
Oh.
So
cute.
The request was quite specific. I'd asked my sister to talk to her daughter. I have 3 nieces, so it's not the same one over and over again. There's 3.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, what does she want? What would she like me to make her next? Because I'm kind of trying to go in order, like make something for each of them. It's like 2 or 3 years in between each time they get something. Mm-hmm. But making sure they're fairly distributed. And so the request was extremely specific. She wants a fox that looks like the one from Anne with an E.
Oh.
So I was like, guess I'm watching Anne with an E to find this scene that this fox is in. And he only appears in like 2 episodes.
Oh, God. So you had to watch a lot of it.
I watched a lot of it. I pretty much watched all of it. It's a pretty good show to crochet too.
Yeah.
It's pretty chill. It's pretty nice. So this fox here, so it's also made with 2 strands of color yarn here. So try to get some variation in it. I had this very pretty yarn, and I haven't been able to find. It's called like rosebush or wild rosebush, and it's a cream, a maroon burgundy, and a brown that's variegated. So I took that yarn and also took an orange that I had to get his coloring. So it's just very, very pretty. You know, it's not straight up orange. You got a little bit of flecks of other like autumn colors in there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, fun for around the ears, and then the feet and stuff. Oh, and the tail. I think in this next one, the tail is also made out of fun fur. So, and I also got like a flocked nose. So flocked nose and colored safety eyes.
Oh my God.
Great. Yeah, fun fur can be a challenge in crochet because it's hard to see. It just completely obscures the stitch definition. So it's really hard to see where to put your hook.
Yeah, where are you at? How many are there?
How many stitches? How do I even count these stitches?
Yeah, and I don't think you can quite see I didn't put the front on him yet. But the front is also fuzzy. So not only is it the fun fur, I mixed that with one of the Vanna's Glamour. So there's a little bit of like brown sparkles in there as well. So it's brown and sparkly on the front, and then fuzzy on the ears and tail.
Thoroughly
adorable. God. So cute.
I try to use up what I have in my stash. I have a lot of yarn, and I try to give things a bit more character by adding colors and textures and all that.
Yeah, and so he's I assume he's all acrylic.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Yes, all acrylic.
Yeah. I mean, because he could just be washed and dried if you need.
I do have a lot of acrylic. Because of the Nerdy Knitters Stash Exchange stuff, like I do have a lot of other mixed fibers as well, and that's quite. I want to be able to use it and make stuff out of that. All of that, like that's. I really like that we have that event that we do.
Oh yeah. Well, so you have your what is this one? Is that the Space Invaders characters on pillows on the bottom row?
Yes. So down here, I had the coasters. I own the coasters already, and I thought it would be really cool to have chair cushions that matched the coasters, so you had like a gamer table. So I managed to find yarn that matched almost exactly. Like this was just great.
Oh yeah.
And then I sat there and in Excel filled in little colored flecks to try and make sure I had the counting just right. So each one square on the coaster is 4 stitches to make a square there. I did 1 stitch versions also, and they're much smaller. But I turned those into like personal size pillows, and I used those as a giveaway.
That's great. That's great. Those are beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh God, they're
very,
fabulous.
very proud of this type thing. Like,
no,
it's very happy.
But am I remembering? Did you enter those in one of the holiday party competitions?
Yes, the very first one.
I remember them.
The very first one. I think I got beat out by Jen's absolutely adorable sushi cats. Like
the competition is fierce there, but yeah, I mean, it was the theme challenge was fandom, so the nerds just
we came out of the woodwork. So she had just adorable sushi cats, and I saw that, and I'm like, I'm not winning. I'm not getting this one.
Yeah, I always, I come in and then I see what Virginia shows up with, and it's like,
oh my God,
forget it.
The crochet, the challenges there are ones where I also feel like I have really good ideas. Like this past year, which was the stars one or the galaxy one.
Oh yeah, out of this world.
Out of this world. I feel like I had a really good idea for it. I just never really finished it.
I had a good idea. I didn't even start it, is what happened to me. I did not enter this year.
Well,
yeah, my out of this world one, I was going to do a parasol. I actually had a pattern for a parasol, and I was going to take the constellations of each of the zodiac and put them on the parasol.
Yeah.
I thought that would be really cool, but like I got partway through doing the top of the parasol, and other things just I got busy.
Yeah.
But like I got little lace ones to actually attach them to, so it would have actually been an umbrella. A little umbrella.
What's the theme this year?
A new hope.
Oh yeah, a new hope.
A new hope.
A new hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I don't want to do anything Star Wars.
No, me neither. But along the lines, I think that right before A New Hope, it was like Happy Days Are Here again. We wanted something celebratory because we're still hoping that we are going to be able to have the party in person.
Yeah.
If everything keeps going in the right direction, as it seems to be. And I don't have my idea yet.
I haven't got
the only thing that I came across was a jacket that was called a hope jacket.
Oh.
And there was a story about it. Where I think it was a Chinese immigrant family, and they had this jacket from when they had moved to San Francisco, and it was one of the few things that her grandma had made, and it's now in a museum. But they had created an educational package with replicas of this little jacket, both knit and crocheted versions. So I don't know if you're looking it up now, but yeah, I think if you search for like knit hope jacket, it should turn up. It's a child's garment.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's pink. I don't quite remember that, but that might be what I end up doing for A New Hope.
That sounds great.
That sounds lovely.
If I get around to it. The challenge thing hasn't been on the top of the list. Really, I want to finish the.
Oh my God.
Did you find it? I'm guessing you found it.
A colossal chunky knit jacket.
I don't know if it's a colossal one.
Hope Macaulay. Now that's
the person. Yeah.
I don't know, because look at this. Let's see. I mean, yes, I should be able to figure out how to do a screen share, but oops. Can you see that at all?
No, not really.
I could stop sharing my screen and you'd show up bigger.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Here. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's not the one. I'll just need to look it up, because what I basically did was I went to Ravelry and I typed in hope and saw what I got.
So I just Googled this. So that's the difference.
I mean, it also shows up in Google too. If you have the right keywords, I just need to find it.
Oh, I just got my notification that Knitting Around LA is live on YouTube, so it did come.
And we are.
I gotta stop looking at my phone while we're broadcasting.
So yeah, I'll send that on the way to you guys. And so I was looking at that, and kind of add a little bit of background and story to it. Because I don't know what are common symbols of hope? Butterfly. Like that's a pretty common symbol of hope, butterflies. But
I keep thinking of a rainbow, so we'll see.
Yeah, so I'm pretty lost on that theme.
Yeah. Well, hopefully will be in person. But since you moved to Irvine, the unexpected benefit of doing all our meetings on Zoom is that you've been able to attend meetings.
Yes, it's so exciting. I felt a little bad because I was hoping we could have done something once I moved, but then I realized that it would be cumbersome for other people. But then everybody ended up working from home a year later. Yeah. I kind of had a different schedule at that point, so I wasn't able to join many meetings.
Yeah. Your Twitch, are you still doing it on Tuesdays, or what's your time schedule?
So it's Tuesdays, Thursdays from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Pacific time.
Okay, great. Now, like I said, I'll add all the links that you gave me down here below the YouTube video. And Judy, anything else to ask Rachel as we wrap up?
No, but I just want to say thank you so much, Rachel, for chatting up with us and sharing everything you've done. And for me, it's been especially knowledge gaining because I knew very little about Twitch. It's not a platform that I'm familiar with, and I learned a lot today. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh yeah. So thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you on a screen or in person.
Or in person at some point, hopefully really soon. Yeah, you guys, I'm a little envious here. You guys have gotten your Fauci ouchies, and I'm not yet even eligible to go get them. So,
but soon, very soon.
Very soon.
In Orange County, my son and daughter-in-law got stuck on Friday, and they're young.
Yeah, I haven't quite gone out to actively search for them. I know there's ways to go get them. But I also have the ability to stay home and work, where I know a lot of those are for people who work in the public space.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I don't know what the situation in Orange County is now. Because my daughter lives in Contra Costa, and they just opened it up to everybody. So
that's nice. Okay.
Soon, though. Soon.
Soon. Very soon.
Okay. And so we'll say goodbye now.
All right, then.
And to the rest of the world, we'll see you.
Bye, Rachel.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Bye.